Hey, how's it going? We are live. Last one was a false alarm. Dun, 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 dun. How's everybody feeling? Made it under the wire. Made it under the wire for the daily stream. I'm sure a lot of y'all thought it wasn't going to happen, but we made it. We made it. We made it. How'd everybody like last night's? I thought last night's was pretty good, talking about our friends, the new militia, the crazy capital killers. 4 people died in that bad boy. It's crazy, right? Yeah, yeah. So just letting people know that we are on. So give me a second, letting the family know that we are on. Do the same. Let people know on your social medias that we are on, that we are here. Tell everyone, tell your friends, tell your enemies. And yeah, yeah. For people who are wondering, my eyes have been killing me a lot. So my wife got me these types of she got me these types of blue lens glasses that's supposed to help. Yeah, yeah, thanks. I thought it was a pretty good stream. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, yeah. A lot of the people died, man. Yeah, people are going on. A lot of people have been going on with Kenny's thing. I'm think it might have been semi-staged, but the way I think it was semi-staged, as in, I think they knew there was a high probability some craziness happening, but if they let it happen, it would be a good propaganda moment. So yeah, I think it might be staged in that level. But as far as like being centrally planned by somebody, I'm not sure. Yeah, so I got these aren't prescription glasses. These are glasses that are supposed to help with um computer glare and screen glare and all that stuff. So far they seem to be working. I don't know if it's psychological or what, but I feel like I see a difference because I'm just in front of screens like way too long. My eyes been killing me. But what's going on, Sly? Sly's right. A lot of the deaths were weird as hell. One guy, one guy got killed by his tribe. Another guy was fell on his own taser and died. Hey Hansi, how's it going? Outlook, how you feeling? Sean Breezy, Dee Dee, what's up? Yeah. So the usual house cleaning stuff. Actually, let me tell people over the Discord, the voice and chat Discord, that we are up. There we go. Yeah, so a lot of times I'd be sitting on articles that I plan to talk about and I never do. So I thought it'd be a good time to go through them. Yeah, hey Revolution, hey everyone. We're supposed to be having two tomorrow. Tomorrow's gonna be good. Tomorrow we're supposed to have Jared Ball from I Mix What I Like to talk about his book Myth and Propaganda of Black Buying Power. So looking forward to talking to him about that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then Kenny's going to be doing a sports stream with this other guy that we're excited to have on. That's going to be fun. I think it's still happening. So 4 p.m. tomorrow, I'm streaming with Jared Ball. And at 6 p.m., Kenny's doing the sports stream, but they're gonna talk about like sports in general, racism in sports, and a whole bunch of. The guy's name is called James Jones. It's gonna be pretty good. If I can join him for the sports stream too, I will, but I don't know for sure if I'm gonna be able to do it because I've been on a tear lately, man. We have so many episodes in the tank right now. This is the most productive I've been in a while. I don't know, but yeah, we have a lot of episodes in the tank and we're streaming every day. But I mean, I'm just gonna write it out as long. I'm telling you, man, I'm trying to. Yeah, yeah. His thing with the Cow Studio is pretty good. the Cows Radio one is pretty good. But you know what's funny about it? He does not like that interview. So it's funny. I brought it up to him because that's where I first found him, and he was not crazy about it. It didn't go well. Yeah, thanks for the compliments on the glasses. They're not prescription. They're for my eyes because I've been the grind, man, the grind of producing quality content, of being a content creator, of being an influencer, being in front of these screens all the time for you guys. It's taking a toll on my eyes. So this is supposed to protect them. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think he probably even said that on the air on our episode because he's been on our episode before, and I think he said that Gus got a little hung up on his white mother, which is like weird because what do you want someone to do? It's one thing to get mad at somebody for like I mean, I don't know. Your mom's your mom. Like, what can you do? But yeah, I think he wouldn't let the topic drop. But yeah, we're gonna talk about that book. A quick bit of house cleaning, usual stuff. If you like the service that we provide and the commentary we give, like, comment, share, subscribe. Like, comment, share, subscribe. It's very appreciated. Times are hard. COVID, recession. Well, it's a boom market and a recession at the same time. Go figure. But yeah, I mean, I know everyone doesn't have you know money to join the Patreon or give a contribution, but liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, that goes a long way. We're trying to hit 10,000 subscribers minimum in 2021, combined across platforms, across Twitch and YouTube. So I think right now we're at like 2,600. We're like 25% of the way there. And that's one reason why we're streaming so much. We really want to get 5-digit subscribers. I'm not joking. I'm sick of student loans. I want them gone. We're going hard body in 2021. That's just what we're doing. We're gonna go hard body till you're sick of us, till you pay us to go away. We want people to go from paying to hear us to just pay us to just shut the fuck up. That's what we're trying to do. So yeah, we're going hard body in 2021, and yeah, so just sharing and getting people to subscribe, hit the bell notification, uh, like, hate, comment, share, subscribe, whatever. Just give it to your friend, give it to your enemy. It's all good. Patreon.com/champagne sharks is where you go to become a member, become a patron. And when you go there, there's something we want you to do. When you become a patron, we're going to give out invites to the social media app Clubhouse, and you'll be able to talk to us and chop it up there. But you'll also be able to chop it up with Jared Ball, because Jared Ball is hosting a room on Clubhouse on Saturday about the book. And I really want to see that because Clubhouse is a place that has so many grifters and scammers and people who are like, there's a lot of cool talk on Clubhouse, but a lot of those like social media content influencers who want to talk about, yo, make $1 million off of your Instagram page and tap into black buying power. Like, if there's a place where the myth and propaganda of black buying power exists, it is Clubhouse. And I really want to see how that room goes over there, because he's got the data to refute a lot of that stuff. And I Sound Info and I hosted a room over in Clubhouse. Oh, I don't know what this is, but I'll give it a try. Is that something that helps with the eyes? Oh yeah, Kamala's got me. Well, she's got like 10K. Yeah, yeah. Kamala ain't got jack. Yeah, actually, you know what? I've been getting more sleep than ever, believe it or not. Because I've been like very regimented with my time. Like, I'm actually doing more, but I'm actually sleeping more because I just don't do things. I try to do everything with intentionality now. Like, I try not to just mindlessly scroll Twitter anymore. I've been on there less. I try not to just do things just to do them, including you will find a lot of time just from like cutting out TV, which is I've been cutting out a lot. Yeah, people cracking on the glasses. They're just these are supposed to protect my eyes from the glare. It's not really. they're supposed to protect it from the screen because they've been hurting a lot. Yeah, yeah, but I saw the info and I had a room about black excellence and how black excellence was like this myth and this kind of propaganda thing. And a lot of people came in. They were like, "Yeah, we don't like hearing about how poor the average black person is and how hard it is because you need something to shoot for." And a lot of Rock Nation brunch crowd or LLC Twitter did not like it, and we had to battle back and forth. And eventually, like people were coming in there trying to pitch real estate scams and all these "we can make you rich" people, because Clubhouse is full of that. So when Jared Ball comes down on Saturday with his heat, he's going to be dropping knowledge. I really want to see that. And if you want to see it too, if you're not a member of Clubhouse yet, sign up at patreon.com/champagne sharks. We'll get you on there in time for Saturday. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Social media is a massive time sink. I'm telling you, man. It really is. Binge watching is too, because now you got, when you start a show, if you don't have the impulse control, like a whole season of a show drops, you can just lose. You can wake up Saturday, have a whole bunch of stuff to do, and then you mindlessly turn the TV on and a Netflix show catches your eye, and then poof, 8 hours gone. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Jay Morrison is up on Clubhouse all the time. All those types are up there. I want to get as many people in Jared Ball's room as possible because I really want. Because I feel like I had no idea how much mass delusion was going on in the black community until I saw Clubhouse. And man, there's a lot of Rock Nation brunch dudes out there. I mean, a lot of rooms with titles, unironically, like, would you rather have a 850 credit score or 10,000 or $100,000? Like crazy stuff, and people be dead serious on it, man. Like, I don't have my phone on me right now, but I bet if I pulled up right now in Clubhouse, there'd be a bunch of rooms like that. Things called funnels, $1 million funnels. Yeah, yeah. PB is one of the people in the Discord. He's got like mad invites to Clubhouse. He'll get you um up in there. Yeah, but we'll hook you up if you become a patron. Last thing, I know people get sick of this stuff, but um if hit the super chat if you're enjoying the stream. That's that little dollar sign in the bottom. Give us a contribution if you like the service we give. It's always appreciated. Helps us get equipment for the show and also helps with those damn student loans. And you can, if you don't want to do the super chat, if you prefer PayPal, champagnesharks@gmail.com, or Venmo or Cash App, Champagne Sharks. And we're going to leave it on the bottom in that ticker so you'll remember it if you forget. So it's going by in the bottom. No pressure, just as usual if you enjoy what we do. But down to business. Black excellence is escapism. Yep, let us pretend we have crap we don't, and do neoliberal bootstrapism in the name of the game. There was a great meme that somebody did about Clubhouse. It was really good. I want to, somebody put a girl and a guy meeting, and let me see if I can find it. I should have saved it for the stream. It's so good. Hold on. I can probably find it real quick on Twitter in 10 seconds. Hold on, see if I can find it. But those black Wojaks that have been popping up all over Twitter, they made one about Clubhouse, and I thought it was really good. But now I gotta search through all. See, looks like it's not happening. But basically, the joke was the girl goes, "I've never made $1 million," and then she meets a guy, and the guy goes, "I never made $1 million," and then they both go off together to say, let's go make a room on Clubhouse about making $1 million. And that's basically what Clubhouse is. Clubhouse is a lot of people scamming and selling services for stuff that they haven't done. And I'm not making it sound bad. There's a lot of good stuff on Clubhouse, but the signal to noise ratio is brutal. So that's the problem with it. You have to kind of sift through a lot of nonsense sometimes to get to the good stuff, and but if you curate it well, you'll be fine. If you follow us, you'll be fine. Yeah, the black Wojaks are terrible. Yeah, everyone's asking about the glasses. I'm gonna have to keep re-explaining it. I have to put a little disclaimer, but yeah, these are things that my wife got me to keep because my eyes are bugging me from looking at screens. So these are not prescription. They're just I've just started using it to aspiration. Some people have good advice on there actually, but you got to sift through them. They got like this is what's crazy, man. There was one room. Check this out. There was this room on Clubhouse, right? Now, in this room, they had like real $1 million like ballers and like VCs and like people who run companies, like people you can look up. Um, and they'll be on there sometimes, right? But this is what was funny. They had a speaker section, and then you had like those scammy influencer LLC Twitter, um, entrepreneur Twitter that doesn't really have a business, Rock Nation Brunch Twitter, and they were going on the speaker stage next to people with real credentials and high powered um, executive jobs. And when it would be their turn to speak, they'll be talking that Rock Nation brunch nonsense, like, yo, y'all, first thing y'all do is get a YouTube and then, you know, open up a Robin Hood account. And I was just like, oh my God, like, how are you so delusional that you don't realize you don't belong on the panel with these people? And I'm just like, thinking, like, these people are supposed to be sitting there listening, like, what the fuck's this dude on? Um, yeah, people talk about professional wrestling. I feel like I don't need another hobby. Like, I'm already thinking about trying gaming, so I'm already scared about that. So yeah, I don't know if I want to do. I mean, I'm cutting off TV for 2021, except for when it relates to a show that we have to review for the podcast. So basically, like right now, I'm watching that terrible show Bridgerton because a lot of people asked me to watch it on Netflix. And yeah, that's basically it. Then I'm gonna watch 2 seasons of a show called My Brilliant Friends, an Italian show, and then yeah, that's basically it. So yeah, so I don't think I'll be watching wrestling. Maybe I'll try it. I'm gonna be watching a lot more sports, and yeah, just trying to make more time for bombarding you guys with content. I'm joining the content spamming hordes. So yeah, yo, a lot of them are in Atlanta, man. I'm telling you, what B Scott's saying right here. There's a lot of those people, but yeah, like there's scams, well, not scams, but the, I don't know. There's a lot of delusional people in Atlanta. And Clubhouse, people be talking about, yeah, I'm on Clubhouse to become a model. I'm like, I don't think Clubhouse where you go to become a model. That's not, and a lot of people will sell you anything. So, they'll gas you up. But yeah, there's good networking to be done on there. But there's also a lot of people who think they're gonna, I don't know. There's a lot of people giving the stock rooms are the worst. The stock tip rooms, people will be like, yo, this is what you got to do. You got to, like, yo, I like Jordans, so I invested in Nike. Like, people will say stuff like that, and people ask them questions like, yo, that works? And yeah, whatever you like is a hobby. Like, I like sneakers. I know sneakers. Nothing about fundamental analysis of the company. Nothing about uh, uh, price earnings ratio. Nothing about any of the important things that profit margin, nothing. Yeah, all that stuff. They don't care, and they'll be like the blind leading the blind. It's Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, so PE ratio, fun fundamentals, earnings per share. No talk like that. It'd be like a 500 deep room. Unless it's a white person with some true inside info, I ain't listening to them. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of like high powered black people on Clubhouse. I'll give them that. There's a lot of high powered black people. You know, they'll play close to the vest, but there are some in there. But most of them are just like people who just read Rich Dad Poor Dad and now just want to just talk. They're like, yo, I know it all now. I'm ready. Yeah, so oof, there's a lot of that. A whole lot of that. But if you get your if you curate the space well, it can work. It's not all bad, you know. I want to be fair. It's not all bad. But yeah, someone someone did something good. Oh, there's people with like 50 jobs in their bio. Those are always the worst. You got to find the 50 people. Hold on, someone did a good one. I got to find this meme right right here. Every speaker on Clubhouse, and this person nailed it. Let me put it on now. Someone said the book club book should be the next one should be Rich Dad Poor Dad. We should actually read that just for like you can read it like in probably one session, but that book, the psychology of the book is crazy.
I started off in stage plays, back when I was 6.
Yeah, this person's imitating every speaker on Clubhouse, and this is funny. Let me make it full screen.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I appreciate that. I'm saying? No disrespect. Yeah. I just wanted to say thank you. I know it's some heavy hitters in the room. Y'all are dropping jewels like left and right. And so for somebody like me, who is an entrepreneur, actor, singer, model, developer, sandwich artist, and skydiver, it makes the vision so much real. And so just to give you some background on me, I started off in stage plays, back when I was 6 years old. So my debut was Please Mama Don't Drop That Thun Thun. And then, afterwards, like I had like A&R. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazingly accurate, you know. But despite what I'm saying, I really enjoy it. It's you know, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun, but it takes some getting used to some of the weirdos on there. Like there were people like what that girl was imitating in the room with like real executives and VPs and CEOs. They talking like that. Yeah, I know some heavy hitters in the room, and I just want to say I started this YouTube channel for my SoundCloud page, and that's another thing you guys can do. Meanwhile, the other guys are talking about like high powered moves to make. It's hilarious. The sandwich artist is my favorite one. But yeah, they're pretty entertaining. I like it. I like it despite the jokes I crack about it, you know. Yeah, but filibuster is on. Well, I've spoken about that before. I'm not going to get back into it, but yeah, yeah, it's pretty funny to be on Clubhouse. You never know what you're going to see. Let's see. Da, da, da. So what is where do we start today? Won't be on too long, but yeah, our favorite influencer, Obama. One of the things I'm doing is I'm having a roundtable on the podcast about the Obama book. I'm reading the Obama book, The Promised Land, and I'm gonna surprise you. I do not hate the book. The book is a very frivolous book. I mean, the actual values of the book aren't great, but is this a real clubhouse room? Because this sounds like a clubhouse room. Don't call it don't call it someone put don't call it money laundering. That sounds like a real clubhouse room. Yeah, I'm telling you the book. I'll say one thing about the book. The book is like an eighth grade reading level. It's so readable that even though it's like 700 pages, like it goes by like really fast. And I can't say it's good. I mean, he's not really saying much in it, but It's just like an easy breezy read. Yo, even though you made that up, man, that sounds just like a real Clubhouse room. I'm telling you. Did y'all see the guy on Twitter? And he turned out to be someone on Clubhouse who was giving advice about LLC and a stimulus check. He was giving advice on LLC, and this is it. Let me show you something, right? This is a crazy thread. Check this out. This is why I believed what you said was real. So this guy is on Twitter. His name is Neek the Freak, and he gives this advice. And it's mad illegal, and people are like, "What the hell are you doing?" But this is the kind of stuff that people will do on Clubhouse. So he says, "Take $150 out your stimulus. Go get you a LLC. Now you got your own business. Now go online and get the 5K small business grant, SBA. That's how you turn 150 into 5K. Now you have 5K and your own business. Take out a credit card in your business name. Use half, then pay it off. Make your business credit perfect. Every time you spend $1, file it under the business. Now, first off, he never says what your business is supposed to be. And that's one thing that these entrepreneurs do, like Entrepreneur LLC Twitter. They just think being an entrepreneur or an LLC means not having a boss. That's all they care about. Any scam that requires them, that keeps them from having a boss, they call that entrepreneurship. Even if it's just selling BS ebooks or just having an LLC that doesn't really do anything. That and having 4 screens. If you ever see those entrepreneur Twitters with the screens, they just be having like screens for no reason and all the memes. Like, there's no job that requires you. I mean, I don't even think air traffic controllers need like 5 screens. The Pentagon doesn't need that many screens like you got. They don't even know what to even put on the screens in the memes. They just put like one line graph on each. Anyway, it goes, make your business credit perfect. Every time you spend $1, file it under the business. End of the year, file those taxes, pay those taxes, start living good, all off $150. Thank me later. This is free game. And he drops like a website to the small business grant program. And then everybody was like, and some people were like going for it. They're like, why is everybody trashing him? Not all the details in there, but at least he's sparking the mind to start. Y'all can turn anything into a negative, and everyone like ripped that guy off. I mean, ripped that guy up. But what was funny was people just adding on the bad advice. They were like, S corp are better. You won't get taxed twice. Most banks don't lend to LLCs; they prefer corps. But it's like, wait, what does the LLC even do? Like, they just think if you just have a paper that says I have an LLC, you just go to the bank. Here you go. You have to say what the product is, what you're buying, what you're selling, nothing, and then and then they just give you the money. But then the other thing is, and as a lawyer, I've filed LLCs for people in the past. You got to pay money to do an LLC, and it costs more than $150. So you don't just make LLCs like poof for free. You got to like advertise the thing somewhere. You got to publish it in some. You got to buy the advertising space, the fees. So this is clearly someone who's never done anything and is giving crazy advice, and other people are eating it up. And yeah, so everybody was but then this was funny. People started ripping off the thing, and a bunch of people started retweeting the same thing and stealing it. Someone did a search for take $150 out of these stimulus checks. So this thing is spreading like a wildfire meme, and it's fraud, right? The other thing is you can't get a small business association grant, I think, if your LLC is under a year old. So that's the other thing. The guy's actual bio is Dominic Buchanan, CEO of RMF, Growth and Development. Now, a CEO is a specific thing. A CEO is like a chief executive officer. That's the executive that's above the other executives. If you're the only person at your company, you're not a CEO. CEOs, that's a very specific definition. You have a relationship with the shareholders, with the board of directors. You create multiple tiers of hierarchy, and you're the person that kind of coordinates everything in the company. You can't be a solo practitioner and be a CEO. But one thing these scammers do is they always misuse CEO and put it like, you know, for their one person business. And I'm trying to find a place on this page where when everyone started ripping him, his answer was, I'm discussing CT room today. So join Clubhouse. So he's on Clubhouse and he used that thing, that horrible thread that went viral that everybody was getting on him for, that thing is fraud, to promote his Clubhouse speeches. So this guy's on Clubhouse dropping knowledge with this crazy thing. And you see the reactions. People like, you really want people to go to jail. How to commit tax fraud 101. And what's funny was an actual guy at the IRS tweeted at him saying like, this is fraud and we have your name and we're going to be auditing you. I don't know if the guy was real. He seemed real, but it was it would be hilarious if he actually got audited off of this from running his mouth on Twitter. Yeah, exactly. You can't just make an LLC. But the other thing is, nobody asks what the business is supposed to be. They just want to say that they have the word LLC. These are the people, like when you click on the business links in their bios, the links are always there. They say GoDaddy.com, you know? Yeah, see, so here, yeah, it's at least $1,000 for the LLC fee. Yeah, depending on the city you live in, it costs like money to do the LLC, and you gotta also publish. And different places have different requirements and whatever. You don't just get an LLC for $150 just like that. But yeah, I gotta follow him on Clubhouse. I don't know what his name is, but I want to see what kind of nonsense he's doing over there. Yeah, but you find all types of nonsense, man. So many scammers. That's why I'm really looking forward to Jared Ball doing that Clubhouse room. That's going to be really interesting because a lot of people are just going to see that title, the myth and propaganda of black buying power, and then I feel like all the LLC Twitter is going to go in there like, what? Yo, all you gotta do is just do 150, son. That's it. Get an LLC. Don't listen to this guy. That's what they're saying to me and Ice on Info. Like, you guys aren't giving people hope. It's like, no, we're not selling people lies. Like, people would rather. Don't even get me started. Yeah, so I started reading Obama's book. I'm telling you, it's an easy breezy read. I was surprised. I was really surprised, man. It was I'm not finished it yet. I mean, the guy is vapid as hell. I mean, it really confirms that guy has he's just pure influencer at this point. But it is interesting to see, like, he's an interesting dude. He's really smart and really vapid at the same time. And this is only volume 1. So it's going to be 1,400 pages total. And it seems like a lot and too much, but there's also a whole lot of nothing in it. There's like nothing going on in it. Oh, check out this one. This one is about podcasters, but this is how people, even though it's about podcasters, this is how people filibuster on Clubhouse. Check out this one. Oh, Gabriella said I refused to pay for the Kindle. Oh, I bootlegged the book. I wasn't gonna give him any money. Obama can go try to get that $20.99 for me or whatever. Good luck. But nah, I bootlegged it. I went to his site online and I bootlegged that book, the e-version. I was not gonna spend money on that one. Yeah, check this out. Tell me if there's sound. This is how podcasters kill time, but I swear this everyone starts talking on Clubhouse when they unmute.
So that's what I think. Yeah, that's so true. I'm really glad you brought that up. I think this is really important. And if I can just speak about this for a minute, because I've really been thinking about this quite a lot. And here's the thing, right? Here's when it all comes down to it, and we like really begin to understand, like, this is what I think. But this is why we have you on. It's my opinion. But so my friend works at the New York Times, right? Oh, nice. Yeah. And So this is what I think. There's a lot of conversation and there's a lot of dialogue around the subject without really dissecting and understanding the subject. And I think what we really need, and I've said this before, I've said this on my podcast, if people want to check that out as well, but we'll put the link in. I think what's really important is that we generate more conversation around, I mean, what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
This kind of, like, it's so important. No, for sure. It's so important. It's so important. It really is. Like, we really is.
Especially the woke rooms in Clubhouse. They're so full that we got this conversation. It's really important. And it got to be a lot of accountability. We need to have a lot of accountability out there. And there's just not a lot of spaces where people can be safe to, not be subject to violence for their opinions. And then the problem is that causes a lot of discord in the community, and there's no accountability for that discourse. And then what happens is it creates a toxic space where people feel unheard and have to deal with microaggressions, and that's real fucked up. And when they have like that type of attitude going on, then you start having people feeling really unsafe. It's the same thing over and over again. Like that is I think people, I don't know if it's COVID and people are getting worse because they're just not getting enough human contact. So when they get a little bit of contact through Clubhouse or something, they just feel like they got to hog the mic, this like gasping for air. They're just so happy to have someone listening to them. I don't know if these people are like this all the time, but yeah, even though that was about podcasts, I really like that one. That one really captures just a lot of. I'll say one thing. One thing I learned when you sit on Clubhouse and you sit on people's rooms, I've always known like black journalists, blue checks probably have their own group DMs. And I always knew like a lot of these Wakandans have their like probably group chats and stuff. And there's a lot of things like there's a lot of activists and stuff. Those social justice influencers that have their own private DM rooms, group DMs. But the thing with Clubhouse is you can actually just be a fly in the wall and, unlike Twitter, see what these people talk about when they're by themselves. And man, I will tell you, now I know why activists get nothing done. I've sat in on some of these rooms and I was like, oh my God, this is why y'all get nothing done. You just sit around and have a big circle jerk. It's like a prayer circle, an affirmation circle. It's like a support group. All they do is just echo chamber each other and cheer each other on for everything. Like, I've never seen people who need such constant affirmation. And I can see like this is why you guys cannot handle any disagreement at all without like flying off the handle or calling it violence, because you just live in this fragile room. And I'll give you an example. Like, you ever see like kids when kids are doing something, they need to be praised everything they do right. So it's like they're riding the bike. It's like, mommy, look, I got it. I'm pedaling. It's like, oh yeah, mommy's reading the book. Yeah. Mommy, look, I'm pedaling. I got it. It's like, okay, I see. Like, the 10 seconds that they can pedal without putting their feet in the ground. Like, you got to look. That's how these people are with every single banal observation that they have. So, they'll be talking about, fat phobia and colorism is a big reason why the black community is struggling. Yup. Yes. Yup. Preach. I was like, oh my God. Like, you're the fifth person to say that in 10 minutes. Like, why are you cheering like the fifth person to say that? Like, come on. Oh, Wakandans is what I call the Black Excellence crowd now. Like, yeah. A Wakandan is just basically like, Black Excellence. Wakandan is like, hey, we're the best of the best, even though we have no original thoughts. And yeah, featureism is a new one. Yeah, that's a new one. They find, you gotta see some of the things they're doing now. I have like a new term that skin cells. Skin cells is like people who are incels but with skin color, right? Skin cells are like SKINCELS. They're people who, the same way incels, incels think there's no way anyone could ever like an incel. Their jawline is wrong. Everything is wrong in there. I'm not saying colorism is not. I'm not saying colorism is not real, right? Colorism is real, but there's a certain type of person on Twitter has become obsessed with making colorism their answer for everything. Kind of like how the incel says the fact that I don't think I'm conventionally handsome, or I don't think I'm rich. That's why no one will ever get with me. And they spend their whole life finding confirmation for this theory that no one's ever going to like them. And then the thing with skin cells, right? Skin cells or dark skin cells, they will attack black women who are dark skinned with confidence. It's really weird. Like if you have confidence, they'll get mad at you and they'll try to berate you into having no confidence. Like they'll get offended by your lack of that you have too much confidence. But then what they do is really interesting. This is where it gets really weird. They start doing stuff now where if you give them examples of dark skinned people that people find pretty, they find exceptions for everything. So what they'll do is you show there's this woman named Ryan Destiny, right? Now Ryan Destiny, she's a dark skinned actress who is she's a dark skinned actress who is from show Star, I think, and she's from some other stuff too. But she's a really pretty girl, right? And what they did when people give up Ryan Destiny and all these other people, they're saying, yeah, okay, she's dark skinned and people think she's pretty, but you know what? Um, Featureism. She's got white features, and that's why she's considered pretty. Now, I don't know if y'all seen Ryan Destiny, but this is what Ryan Destiny looks like. Like in what universe are these white features? Um, any dark skinned black girl that people find pretty, they try to say looks white. Yes. So this is Ryan Destiny. This is when they're saying people only like her because she has white features. And so no matter what you tell them, just like with incels, nothing that you tell an incel will make them believe that anybody will you know, a guy who's not a Chad and who's not rich and who's not 6 feet tall. They are the exact same way, and it's really really weird. So then they keep moving the goalposts more and more into crazier and crazier areas. So what's started happening is people point out, like, she doesn't look white. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you're showing your own hatred of black features if you start thinking that everybody who is black and attractive looks white. That kind of betrays that you think all beauty is white, so that if anybody's if anybody can be pointed to as beautiful, they're automatically white. That says a lot about you. Like you can't believe someone can look authentically black and be found attractive. Yeah. So then they said it's also the body, right? They said it's really about the body. Like they don't like dark skinned girls when they're fat. But I mean, fair or unfair, dark skinned people, I mean, fat people are discriminated against whether they're light skinned or white. Like, I'm not saying it's fair, but they have a harder time finding dates. So it's kind of weird to act like there's all these fat, light skinned and white women and whatever getting all this love, and like only dark skinned women are the ones being held to that standard, right? But even with that challenge, people took up the challenge and started pointing out dark skinned Black women who are not the waif shape, that they're not the shape of Ryan Destiny or all this stuff. And they had a moving goalpost for that. This this is and this is what you'll see in a lot of these rooms. So check this out. This woman did this thread. When you talk about fat phobia, you have to also talk about fat distribution, because pear and hourglass shaped fat women definitely don't face the same violence as apple or inverted triangle shaped fat women. So now they're like, okay, you got us with those examples, but there's pear and hourglass privilege for fat women. So um, we can't ignore the good fat and bad fat dichotomy. And yeah, people just kept going on and on about it with all these different reasons. So now there's a certain type of pear privilege or apple privilege, and it's really the apple or inverted triangle fat people who are the incels. And yeah, it's and Vita made a good point. Vita was talking about that there's a lot of people out there who are really invested in making people feel really bad about themselves all the time. And they just keep moving the goalpost over and over again. It's a funny thing. But we need some sort of step one of AA for the whatever cells. It's really something. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but incel energy is really big, and it's not just white guys, angry right wing white guys. There's a lot of people here. There's a lot of people here who just really want everyone to be as miserable as they are. They have the same sexual grievance politics that incels have. They're still rehashing. Uh, but the thing about these activists was when you're in these rooms, right? And this is what's interesting. When I was in Clubhouse, like you see those threads and those Twitter tweets, they're the final landing point. But when you go in Clubhouse, you see the actual thought process of how these people brainstorm this madness. And that's where it gets really interesting, because you see it's like, picture a support group, but picture if instead of the support group's purpose being to make you better, it's a support group to make you more delusional. Like picture like there's like six of you, and it's like, instead of Gamblers Anonymous, all of y'all just sitting there. It's a rationalization group. It's a group that all of y'all are giving each other, like, gambling's not that bad. And plus, doubling down is the best thing to do, because if anything, that helps you build up strength and fearlessness. And you guys are sitting around finding ways to justify and amplify all the problems you have. So it's a support group, it's like rationalization groups. So you see people in real time just come up with these crazy things where they're just cheering each other on for playing oppression Olympics and helping hone their rationalizations. Then I think to go on Twitter, like, energized with their new theory. So yeah, I mean, I can just imagine the powwow they had where they came up with you know the inverted triangle privilege, and like, the pair privilege. And yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, enablers anonymous, man. Rationalization group. I don't know. But anyway, Obama's book. Obama, I always talk about Obama being an influencer. That's nothing new. I've talked about it a lot. But check this out. This guy focus group test everything. This is So he's promoting this book, and I'm finally reading it, and I saw this interesting. Barack Obama on the pop culture and more that inspired a promised land. Now, isn't this book about your life and your road to the presidency and becoming the president? Shouldn't that be what inspires the book, your actual career? Like, why is this even a thing? Why is pop culture the topic that's inspiring? It's just a weird thing. Yo, the Twitch people, I like the Twitch people too. I shout out the Twitch people, but yeah, Twitch people, they're not. Look. I'm put a Twitch comment. I don't know why. I got like we have half the followers on Twitch that we have here, but nobody really comes over to Twitch for some reason. I don't know why. Like it's like a 10-to-1 ratio. I don't know, man. I try to shout out Twitch. I put the links to Twitch in on Twitter, but people like coming over. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, Barack Obama on the pop culture and more that inspired a promised land. Obama says Better Call Saul, The Good Place, The Boys, and more helped him through the writing process. Like, what does that have to do with anything? Why does this guy always want to curate the cool dad vibe? Like, what does any of this have to say whether the book is good? Well, Better Call Saul is, I think, is a pretty bad show because it's just pointless. You know, people talk about hate watching, and if hate watching is a waste of time, Better Call Saul is what I call mid watching because it's very mid. It's very middle of the road, and I've realized I would rather hate watch a bad show than mid watch, which is what Better Call Saul is. Because Better Call Saul is every episode is just good enough and competently enough done that you can talk yourself into keep going, but it's never so great that you're like, man, I'm glad I watched that show. Most of it is just Easter eggs and filling in blanks and answering questions, giving you the answer to questions about Breaking Bad that you never even cared about. You know, it's just crossing T's and dotting I's. It's very pointless to me show. But do yeah, man. Look at this. It's some people have been going over to Twitch though, I'll tell you. Some people have been going over to Twitch more. Yeah. I love my Twitch peoples, man. In fact, I'm making the site more Twitch friendly. Talking to Amy, who was on the show recently, and I want to start playing games, and I feel like that's better to do on Twitch. But I feel like a boomer when I'm on Twitch because the lingo, the keck, I don't understand any of it. So you have to bear with me. So yeah. So anyway, Barack. He says he missed his deadline. He had to write the book, his first book in 15 years, and he said that TV is what got him through it. What drink do you need to get through a day of writing? Honest Tea's Green Dragon. Like, what does that have to do with his book, right? TV shows where I need a break. Better Call Saul because of his good characters and examination, the dark side, the American dream. Everything sounds focus group tested with this guy. The Good Place. It's a wise and sweet combination of goofy comedy and big philosophical questions. And Watchmen and The Boys for how they turn superhero conventions on their heads to lay bare issues of race, capitalism, and the distorting effects of corporate power and mass media. Oh, and the NBA playoffs because it's hoops. And then he talks about he doesn't listen to music when he's writing because he starts humming along and losing his train of thought, which is weird to me because I'm like, I would think TV would keep you from being able to pay attention even more. But yeah, he's always doing that. He had some new playlists that he dropped. The playlist was even crazier. I don't know if I talked about the playlist, but he had another playlist that he dropped, and he said it was his favorite songs of 2020. He put it on Instagram, and to searching for the playlist, but he's got so many playlists. Okay, here is the last playlist that he just dropped. And all of this is tied into the book. He said to have a Sega Genesis or SNES. Man, I'm gonna be worse than that. I'm just gonna play Steam. That's what I'm gonna do. Um, I don't even know what to get. Maybe Nintendo Switch. I don't know. But check this out. Obama's favorite music of 2020. The Savage remix with Megan Thee Stallion featuring Beyonce. Love is the King by Jeff Tweedy. Franchise by Travis Scott featuring Young Thug and MIA. Like, I don't even know this music. Nada. Lita Pimienta featuring Lisa, man. Little Baby. Then there's Bruce Springsteen. I could believe the Bruce Springsteen. Dua Lipa featuring the Baby. J. Cole, The Climb Back. HER, Damage. The Bob Dylan, I believe. Summer 2020 by Janae Aiko. You Rongo by Prince KB, Shimza, Black Motion, and Lemonade by Internet Money featuring Don Tolliver, Gunna, and Nav. Like, I just don't believe any of this stuff at all. You got Bad Bunny and all this stuff. And somebody pointed out that he said, oh, his daughter helped him pick out the music, right? But even if his daughter helped him pick out the music, he said favorite music of 2020. He didn't just say that new music I tried. So he's not just saying his daughter helped him pick him out. He's trying to claim that his daughter helped him pick it out, and that's now his favorite music. That's what he's playing all the time. So yeah, okay, whatever. I'm not. But then just a month ago, he already had this playlist. Like, literally a month before, he had this playlist that he put up. This was in November, and it's the special Promised Land playlist. So I'm like, how many playlists does this guy have? He has the best. So he did this one for November 17th when he released the book. Then December 31st, he had a year-end best of 2020, favorite songs of 2020, with totally different songs. And that one's for the new year, because being the influencer, he's got to have a connection and cross promotion for everything. So there was time for a New Year's playlist. So basically, his favorite songs of 2020 weren't the songs that he was listening to that inspired Promised Land. Meanwhile, there's all the shows. Basically, his book is a thought process of this guy, and it's just very interesting. The book is interesting not so much because of anything that he says on purpose, but the things that he gives away in the construction. It's a very, very constructed persona that is fascinatingly glib and kind of disturbing in its glibness. It's pretty interesting. Sasha needs to release. Yeah, he's right. This perfect way to put it. Dylan Gray, you nailed it. He's right in between Silicon Valley and Hollywood. You're absolutely right. Yeah, and the other thing is, like you said, who gives a fuck what Obama jams to? Yeah, I mean, some of the songs are actually kind of good, but I don't believe he listens to any of that shit. Like, come on, please. Barack Payola. Yeah, but anyway, we're gonna try to have Andre Domis, Edward Ongwesi Jr. I'm gonna see if Daniel Bessner and someone else wants to do the round table on Obama's book. That'll be an episode of Champagne Sharks, because I know they all read it, and it'll be very interesting for all of us to talk about it. Those are all some pretty smart guys, and I know they're all reading the book and getting worked up about how terrible it is. Yeah. There was that Obama became a mannequin. He died when he stopped smoking cigs. Yeah, I mean, that book is so carefully constructed, and he does a lot of like revisionism in it that you can tell to distance himself from ever having been a serious radical or ever having been serious about Jeremiah Wright or any of them. So he has like things where he says like yeah, I used to read all these fancy things, and I was doing it to impress girls. So I used to read like Marxism and all this stuff. And a lot of people made fun of him, like, oh, he's a creep that reads things to impress girls. But I think what he was really trying to do was say all this, anything that looks radical in my past that I even talked about before, don't take it seriously. If anybody tells you that I read all this radical stuff, now you'll know to just think of it as something I was doing just to impress girls. And I thought that was pretty interesting. Here's some stuff about Biden that I thought kind of fell under the radar in discussing Biden. Oh, good question. Has Garrow read or reviewed it? Oh, hey, Rick Harp, how's it going? Check out check out that podcast by Rick Harp. He has a great podcast on Indigenous matters. It's really good. It's called Media Indigena. I've been on there before, but yeah, Rick Harp does good stuff. I invited him to come on Champagne Shark, so he's going to be a guest on that too. Oh, Adolph Reed would be an interesting one. I would love to see if Adolph Reed. Yeah, I'm going to. Oh, someone said the Better Call Saul slander. Yeah, Better Call Saul. I know Vitamin K is a fan of Better Call Saul, so I don't want to get Vitamin K worked up, but Better Call Saul is extremely mid, and I like his brother Chuck more than I like Saul. Chuck is right. Saul is horrible. Hold on. But I mean, I think Jesse is a villain, the true villain of Breaking Bad. So take from that what you will. I'm doing an actual video essay on why Jesse is the true villain of Breaking Bad, and that's coming soon. Joe Biden's agriculture appointment is a slap in the face to black voters by Ryan Cooper. This is worth checking out. He's doing a lot of messed up stuff to, as far as commitment to black voters. And I think it's interesting that a lot of it kind of falls through the cracks because it's not sensational. But whether Joe Biden has a successful presidency depends on the upcoming Georgia Senate runoffs more than any other factor. If Democrats sweep both seats, the party will just barely control Senate and will theoretically be able to pass at least some laws. If they lose just one, Mitch McConnell will surely bottle up just about all legislation and may not even allow Biden to staff his administration. But Biden is already betraying his most loyal group of supporters, namely African Americans, and harming Democrats' chances in the runoff in the process. Top black Democrats have been pushing for a qualified progressive black woman to lead the Department of Agriculture. But Biden passed her over for a white man whose most notable prior accomplishment was giving into a racist smear campaign directed at another black woman. Now Biden is preemptively blaming black activists in case that decision contributes to his party whiffing the Georgia runoff. They ended up not whiffing the runoff, but the fact that he was throwing them under the bus like that was enough. So Marsha Fudge is a black progressive on the House Agriculture Committee for the last 12 years who's been angling for the gig. And the department is traditionally thought to be the preserve of corn-fed white guys from Iowa because it has agriculture in the name. But by far the biggest responsibility of the department is actually administrating the massive food stamp program. Fudge's argument was that she would be a representation victory. There has never been a black woman in that position, and that she would bring an informed new perspective to the department. Rather than funneling subsidies to corporate agribusiness, she said she would focus on getting qualified people enrolled on food stamps. Currently, the Trump administration is trying to kick off as many people as possible, helping smaller farmers and environmental conservation. Instead, Biden sprang for Tom Vilsack, a corn-fed white guy from Iowa who ran the department under President Obama, and appointed Fudge to head HUD. This is a slap to black Democrat in the face of black Democrats in multiple ways. First, it reinforces the stereotype that HUD is where you stuff token black people you don't actually care about, like Ben Carson, because it has urban in the name. That, as well as the fact that it has nothing to do with her area of expertise, is why Fudge had said publicly she did not want the HUD job, which, to be clear, is a very important post. Even on cynical political grounds, Biden owes a massive debt to top black Republicans who were also pushing for Fudge. Above all, House Majority Whip Jim Clyburn, whose well-timed endorsement very likely gave Biden the nomination. But the most offensive part of this is Vilsack's history with Shirley Sherrod, a former Georgia USDA employee who was the victim of a racist smear campaign back in 2010. The story centered around a speech that Sherrod had given at NAACP that described the experience of growing up under brutal Jim Crow racism. Her father and cousin were murdered by white men who got off scot-free. That led her to help organize Black people early in her career. Then came a white farmer to her organization in 1985 seeking aid. She initially steered him to a white lawyer, but help was not forthcoming, and Spooner, the white farmer, came to ask again. It was a message from God, Chirac concluded, instructing her that it wasn't only Black people who needed help. Working with him made me see that it's really about those who have versus those who don't, she said. She did what she could for Spooner, who kept his farm, and the two remain friends to this day. It is hardly possible to imagine a more wholesome and heartwarming story of racial conciliation. It's as if Remember the Titans was about farm mortgages, but Andrew Breitbart, the conservative propagandist, who even then was infamous for racist duplicity, published a misleading edit of the video of the event, making it seem like she was refusing to help the farmer because he was white. Vilsack, in an entirely typical display of Democratic backbone, soiled his pants from gusset to knee, and his deputies forced Sherrod to pull over by the side of the road and type out her resignation on her phone before USDA brass had even heard her side of the story. After the truth came out, Vilsack apologized and offered her a new job, which she understandably declined. And I love that about Shorty Sherrod. She was like, F you. I'm not taking that job. So this is who Biden put up there. And I think it's really disgusting that he did that. And it was very underreported. It was very underreported. And yeah, I actually want to have Adolph Reed on. I want to have Adolph Reed on because I have certain things I want to talk to him. I want to talk to him about. What is the Punahou Wikipedia page? What is it? This sounds interesting. Punahou. I'm going to trust you on this, Dylan Gray. I'm flying in blind. So Punahou School, is that what I'm looking for, Dylan Gray? I'm trusting you, Dylan Gray. Dylan Gray, you're in charge of the content now. But you've been talking about this a bit, so let's see. There's something that says Punahou School, and it's related to Obama. Oh yeah, Obama is from school. This school seems like a pretty privileged school. This school has put out a lot of high performers. Interesting. Okay, so tell me what I'm. Yeah, I think I found it. Is it this page? Is that it? Oh, the grads. Okay, cool. Let me go to the grads. Where else do you get this level of interactivity on a YouTube page? I will hand over the reins to the chat in a heartbeat. Here we go. Notables. This is the main article. Let's go here. Alumni. Oh, wow. They've produced a lot of people. A lot of athletes, too. Okay, so what am I looking for in the grads? Anything in particular? I don't want to just. They have a lot of athletes. World champions, water polo, professional athletes. God damn. Medical doctors. This is very interesting because it kind of lets you know the big advantages that Obama had and all the ways that he does not have the typical Black American experience. This is look at all these elected. You got Obama, he's the only president, but they have all these senators, Congress representatives, presidential appointees. You have to tell me what I'm looking for because I can't go through this with a fine-tooth comb. But yeah, it's pretty. This is too much to process at once, but there's a lot. I'm going to have to. You know what? For people who are interested, it's a very long list. This is what you look for. And Dylan Gray is right. It actually is pretty interesting. I just can't read it all now. I think I have to like read this offline and do another show about this. But yeah, thanks, Dylan Gray. This is pretty good. Check this out. And he breezed over it in both books. He didn't really talk about the caliber of his school that much. Yeah, they train the elite of Hawaii and the world. He's right. You know, I was right to have faith in you, Dylan Gray. That was a good find. Yeah. So search for yourself. List of Punahou School alumni. I'm going to actually read that myself later in my leisure time. I might do a follow-up on it. It's a lot. It helps to contextualize the book a lot more because he doesn't really talk about that at all. He downplays it a lot. He tries to make his beginning sound like way more humbler than they are. So that's interesting. Now, I've talked about this before real quick, but I think I've talked about it before, but just in case I haven't, something else Biden has been doing. Biden is creating an administration. Biden has created an administration that will reach conservatives. No, the Biden administration has created a position to reach conservatives. They're doing conservative outreach, and Cedric Richmond is going to lead the effort. And Biden administration plans to create a position to find common ground with conservatives, said Louisiana Congressman Cedric Richard, a senior advisor and director of the Office of Public Engagement. Right now, I'm trying to set up the office, and I'm actually looking at establishing a position that reaches out to conservatives because it's about moving forward. We cannot stay where we are, Richmond said during the Wall Street Journal CEO Council on Monday night. I just love that, the CEO Council. I wonder if the Clubhouse guy is there. The one with the $150 plan, because he's the CEO of the stimulus. But they want to forge connections with all Americans, regardless of their political affiliation. We're not elected just to help Democrats or urban cities or minorities, he said. We were elected to help the entire country. That means reaching out to conservatives. That means reaching out to rural areas, reaching out to people who didn't vote for us. And what I'm interested in is, I wonder what's going to happen and how this is going to play now after what we saw yesterday, because I don't think these people are trying to hear any outreach. Call me crazy. That's just my take on it. I don't think they're trying to hear any outreach at all. And let's see what other interesting things do I want to say about Biden, because I haven't been streaming that much in December, so I have a lot of stuff. Check this out. Yeah, Obama's mom was CIA. That's another thing. Yeah, that's another thing. His mom's got a shady history. He downplays a lot of that. So I like this clip. They asked the guy at NAACP, what happens if Joe Biden ignores Black America after they saved his campaign? And this is what he says. This is worth watching. Let me know if there's sound.
It's no secret that Joe Biden was helped significantly by the power of the Black vote. It shifted the trajectory of his political campaign during the primaries when many people thought he was sort of out. And he has been very open about thanking the African-American community. That being said, a lot of people have said, thank you is one thing, but you can't take this vote for granted. If Biden's elections do not align with the expectations of some of these Black groups, the group that you represent included, how does the future look for Biden in terms of support within the African-American community?
So, for NAACP, President-elect Biden has been a member of the NAACP for as long as many of us have been alive. He's always shared that. He talked about him getting elected as senator in Delaware is because of the African-American community. One of his closest friends is the state president for Delaware of the NAACP. So he's not, anyone who's new to the conversation around civil rights.
Saying a whole lot of nothing.
This is not about individuals in seats alone. This is about ensuring that the concepts, the protections of civil rights are in place.
He's talking like a Clubhouse filibuster or that guy. If you notice, he's not really saying anything. He didn't say what is going to happen if Biden, he's just killing air.
The appointment of former Senator Kerry to be the environmental czar. That tells us that there will be a focus on renewable and environmental justice that we so desperately need. I applauded the announcement that we will re-enter the Paris Accord. That's really important to save our planet. But we have to save the morality of this nation and make sure that the historical and decades-long caste system, the racism, is done away with. You can only do that through public policy. He can do that through executive order.
What does anything in this have to do with what is the ask and what are you going to do if you don't get the ask for Black people after Black people deliver them?
And that's the conversation we need to be having, not about individuals, but about how do we embed civil rights protections and restore the loss of rights protections in all of the conversations that take place, whether it's Department of Defense or Department of Agriculture.
I mean, it sounds nice. Like, we're not shouldn't focus on individuals and jobs. We should focus on, installing real protection. But he hasn't really described anything that sounded like a real protection there. I think he just said something that marginally sounds good until you actually think about what he's saying. And like, how is John Kerry an example of a real protection for Black people? Like, but because then they're not going to fuck with them anymore. Alicia Garza and them tried that for a hot second, and that's why they got left out in the cold. Yes, it's just about vague nothings. This is, I thought, a good one. Somebody put this up, and I really liked it. Jamil Smith. Black voters didn't help elect Joe Biden to the presidency so he can elevate Rahm Emanuel to his cabinet. The mayor who helped cover up the Quan McDonald's murder by Chicago police for more than a year. It's an insult that this is even being considered. And then someone said, I never thought leopards would eat my face, sobs woman who voted for leopard eating people's faces party. And that made me laugh. I mean, eventually he didn't go with Rahm Emanuel, but the fact that he even considered it was amazing. And I just feel like this guy is going to be doing so many slaps to the faces to Black people. It's going to be hilarious to watch the people make excuses for it. It's pretty interesting. But what's funny about that is this is what Jamil Smith was saying before. Before Jamil Smith was saying is this. And I said all that minutes before Sanders today dismissed Biden as backed by corporate establishment, even after Black voters swung the tide of this primary. He keeps carelessly tossing these terms around, not realizing whom he is branding with them. He was getting mad at Sanders for calling Biden as backed by the corporate establishment. And then later on, he's complaining that Biden is considering Rahm Emanuel. So these people are going to keep reaping what they sow. They carried water for Biden and got mad at anyone who called him what he was. And then when he starts acting like what those people called him, they start bitching and moaning. And it's going to be interesting to watch for sure. And last thing I want to talk about is what's happening with Black Lives Matter. But we're just going to touch on it real quick. We're going to go more depth in this another time. But Black Lives Matter, Alicia Garza, y'all might not know this, but Alicia Garza got her meeting. Did y'all know this? Alicia Garza got her meeting with the Biden White House, but it was not quite what she wanted. Now, the way this woman was going on about it, you would think you would have heard about it if she met with Biden, but it's kind of because the meeting she got was not a great meeting. It was and I'm going to give you the details of it now that we know. This is all we know about the meeting. So it looks like they didn't meet with Biden himself. This is what happened. And it was getting pretty pathetic before they finally gave her the meeting. And it's very undershared. But here's what happens. The Biden Harris transition website announced readout of Janet Yellen and Wally Adeyemo's meeting with racial and economic justice organization leaders, not Biden himself, not the top people. In the first joint meeting as Treasury Secretary designee and Deputy Treasury Secretary designee, Janet Yellen and Wally Adeyemo hosted a virtual roundtable with racial and economic justice leaders Monday afternoon. Yellen and Adeyemo reaffirmed the commitment to placing racial equality at the center of economic recovery, focusing on households, businesses, and communities hardest hit by the pandemic, and to pursuing economic policies that address the long-term systemic and structural issues that have led to the racial wealth gap and economic disparities that exist today. What I find interesting about this is how these mainstream corporate Democrats have managed to incorporate all the right language. Like, have you noticed that? Like, they know how to talk this talk now. And I think that's the only thing they get from having the meetings with these people. What they get out of it is these people teach them the language to sound serious. So now everybody knows you have to talk about systemic. So look at this: long-term, systemic, and structural issues. All the buzzwords: racial wealth gap. Politicians should not talk like this. Economic disparities. So a lot of talk of systemic racism and all this stuff. They have all the buzzwords. They also expressed a desire to make this an ongoing partnership with regular dialogue and thank the leaders for offering their support. Janet Yellen and Wally Adeyemo were joined by Dorian Warren, co-president, Community Change; Rashad Robinson, president, Color of Change; David Clooney, executive director of Black Economic Alliance; Felicia Wong, president and CEO, Roosevelt Institute; Heather McGee, board chair, Color of Change; Sabeel Rahman, president, Demos; Thea Lee, president, Economic Policy Institute; Loretta Prayelli, president, Community Change Organization; Maurice Mitchell, national director, Working Families Party; and last, Alicia Garza, founder, Black to the Future Fund. Not there as Black Lives Matter, interestingly enough. Now, here's what I find interesting. Why is she last? I don't know. It doesn't work under alphabetical order for the first name. It doesn't work as alphabetical order for the last name. It doesn't work for alphabetical order of the organization. Now, what was discussed? I don't know. That's the end of the page. Just generic buzzwords, economic, systemic justice, and all that stuff. And no one really covered it. But, it was at that time that Alicia Garza just kind of shut up about it. She didn't really talk much about it after that. So, yeah, that was basically it. And they threw her a bone after they met with everyone else. And she kept begging. All the important administrative jobs, all the important stuff happened, and then they had just a final clean out the house, let the two lower people just have one final meeting with the last of the last, and just so she was kind of like batting cleanup. I mean, it was like when you've already done everything and you bring out like the bench warmers to so yeah, I think Alicia Garza just probably asked for more meetings. She probably just asked for jobs. I don't think she really cares about any real anything. Yeah. So they take all the language for the academic left and then use it to whitewash, or better yet, woke wash neoliberal BS. You know, and I'm looking for a quote. I don't have it handy, but I want to find it. Where there's only one place where I found a quote from her about what the big takeaway from it was, and you got to see this quote. It's typical. Let me find it. But basically, she bragged about getting let me find this thing because it's good. It's a quick quote. Okay, I think here we go. I think I found it. Politico covered it. Yeah, unfortunately, nothing can say what the substance of this meeting is. It just seems like just a token meeting that was delegated to the lower people to do. So yeah, um, and then they tweeted about it to make themselves look good. So Janet Yellen tweeted that she's having this meeting. Wally Adeyemo tweeted at the Obama Foundation. I watched our team respond admirably to changing world. Now we're going to meet with a bunch of new people today. So the press release did not mention that she's a co-founder of um, Black Lives Matter. They left that out, which I found very interesting in the press release. They only put Black Futures Lab. Um, uh, I'm looking for a specific quote. Sorry, you have to bear with me. I should be more organized than this, but okay, here it is. I found it. This is the quote I was looking for. This is the only quote I found from her about this thing. And it's at Politico. Politico had this story that goes, amid a crisis like we've never seen, Biden drives to fill cabinet. And it goes through the whole transition and all the actual stuff that he did and everything he tapped. And then way down the line, when you get down, and I'm scrolling so you can see how far down the line is, they mention all the names, everything that's been filled, everyone that met. And then near the bottom, at the very bottom, because this came at the very end, this article was released when everything was done. And at the very end of the article, Treasury Secretary designee Janet Yellen and Deputy Treasury Secretary designee Wally Adeyemo have met with interest groups across the ideological spectrum asking for their ideas and commitment. It feels like make work. After one of these meetings, Adeyemo even gave out his cell phone number. So he gave out his cell phone number to everything. And this is what Alicia Garza said. They emphasized that it was important that this wasn't the only meeting and wasn't the last meeting, said Alicia Garza, co-founder of Black Lives Matter and principal to the Future Action Fund, which took part in one of the meetings. Now, what's interesting is Politico mentioned Black Lives Matter. They themselves didn't mention Black Lives Matter. And there was another quote that I found from Alicia Garza. I'm not going to waste time looking for it, where she was bragging about getting his phone number. So now she knows it's not going to be the last meeting. So just like when she was talking with Ice Cube, the only thing she has to say about is more meetings, that she's going to get a meeting. So remember Ice Cube was talking about all these policies and Roland Martin. All she kept talking about was being taken to the White House for a meeting, and you should be working with us. We should be talking. We should be meeting. And then after the election, she's talking about meetings. And then she gets there. She gets a meeting. They ask her what they got out of the meeting. And she says, what we got out of the meeting is that there's going to be more meetings. So all she just wants to do is get access to power. She still is not talking about what policies they discussed or what was broached or anything. No plans, nothing. It's I mean, I just don't see how this person is not totally transparent yet. I mean, I think she probably is. They have a whole bunch of other problems. But what was funny was before that, she was this is what she was doing. There's a lot of stuff out here. How much time do I have? I didn't want to go this long, but do you guys want me to keep going? Should I save this for tomorrow? It's kind of late here. I'm trying to think. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm gonna. Let me see. Hold on. How much more stuff is this? Because it's a lot of. You know what? Let's continue this for another time. But I'm gonna talk. But let me just at least show this, because this is pretty good, right? Let me show this. This is what was happening leading up to. This is what was happening leading up to that meeting that finally happened. It's not even 1:15. That's pretty late. I'm sorry. This is when my eyes are dying. This is why I gotta wear glasses. I'm fucking with y'all. Keep me streaming. Look at this. And friend of the show, Jamel, the creator, says, so look at this. When it just happened, when Biden won, BLM put up this icon and made it. They put up this picture and put up this icon. We talked about it before. We won. Black Lives Matter, saying like Biden's win is their win. And that is 11/8/2020. We won, right? Even though they haven't talked to Biden at all during the election, he wasn't returning their calls. He was not fucking with them. See, I should be like Kevin Samuels and demand bribes to go on longer. I think Kevin Samuels actually asked people to donate, but I am not doing that. Instead, I'm going to hold out for likes. Just hit likes. Hit the likes if you're enjoying this and you've been here and you have not liked yet. That's all I ask of you. So they put up, we won November 8th, 2020. Now, 32 days later, they tweet this. The night of their victory, we sent Joe Biden and Kamala Harris a letter requesting a meeting. It has now been 32 days, and we have yet to receive a response. To set up a meeting with civil rights leaders without BLM is unacceptable. Now, that's important for a reason. That's the meeting they really wanted. That has everything you need to see in it. They want to meet with actual Joe Biden and Kamala Harris themselves, and they want to be meeting with the big wig civil rights leaders. So basically, after doing all that talk about we won and acting like, you know, they were working with Biden, 32 days out, they're still begging, and every important meeting is happening. And it's just shameful. It's shameful to see someone unlike this video. There's always a hater. I can't believe it. It's probably people we've spoken about. Probably search their name. But now that's important for a particular reason, right? I want to back up. And I'm all in. I'm gonna finish this topic. It's later than I want it to be, but I'm gonna just ride this topic out. So I think we got like 20. I think we got 20 minutes to go. I think I can wrap this up in 20 minutes. So here we go. And you know, if you want to do any donations, I'm not averse to it. If you want to hit that super chat, I'm not averse to it, but no pressure. Now, check this out. Let's take this off the table. We're going to look at some other stuff. This came out around this time. Oh, Phil Winter, good looking out. Thank you. Much appreciated. And anyone who donates, guaranteed to read your comments and put them on the big screen. We're going to put them on the Summer Jam screen. Anytime you donate, your comment gets up on the Summer Jam screen. If that's any incentive, it will be read. So this came from the chapter, statements from the front lines of BLM. It is time for accountability. It is recently declared that Patrice Colores was appointed executive director to the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation. Since then, 2 new Black Lives Matter formations have been announced to the public: a Black Lives Matter Political Action Committee and BLM Grassroots. BLM Grassroots was allegedly created to support the organizational needs of chapters, separate from the financial functions of the Black Lives Matter global network. We, the undersigned chapters, believe that all of these events occurred without democracy and assert that it was without the knowledge of the majority of Black Lives Matter chapter across the country and world. We became chapters of Black Lives Matter as radical Black organizers embracing a collective vision for Black people engaging the protracted struggle for our lives against police terrorism. With a willingness to do hard work that would put us at risk, we expected that the central organizational entity, most recently referred to as the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, and we've done a lot of work about how they have not shown where the money's going at all, and they've reaped an insane amount, would support us chapters in our efforts to build community. Since the establishment of Black Lives Matter Global Network, our chapters have consistently raised concerns about financial transparency, decision-making, and accountability. Despite years of effort, no acceptable internal process of accountability has ever been produced by BLMGN, and these recent events have undermined the efforts of chapters to seeking to democratize its processes and resources. In the spirit of transparency, accountability, and responsibility to our community, we believe public accountability has become necessary. As a contribution to our collective liberation, we must make clear: 1. Patrice Cullors, as the sole board member of Black Lives Matter Global Network, became executive director against the will of most chapters and without their knowledge. So they're in open mutiny. And if you know anyone who wants to know about this stuff and talk about this stuff, do me a favor, go on Twitter, go on your social media, go on your Facebook, go wherever, and just link to this, because we're gonna go in deep. This is a good time to hop in. So yeah, just take a second to share this. Tell the people that we're still on here, and we're gonna be going in on some good stuff about Black Lives Matter. And yeah, that's always a great thing you can do to help us out. But going forward, number 2, the newly announced formation, BLM Grassroots, does not have the support of and was created without the consultation with the vast majority of chapters. The formation of BLM Grassroots effectively separated the majority of chapters from Black Lives Matter Global Network without their consent and interrupted the active process of accountability that was being established by those chapters. Like BLM Grassroots has become a buffer organization that protects the bigwig network and the political action committee from having to deal with the smaller chapters. It adds an extra layer of bureaucracy. In our experience, chapter organizers have been consistently prevented from establishing financial transparency. So they're talking about, we want to know where the money goes. Even the chapters are saying they don't know where the money goes. Collective decision-making or collaboration on political analysis and vision within BLMGN. For years, there has been inquiry regarding the financial operations of Black Lives Matter Global Network and no acceptable process of either public or internal transparency about the unknown millions of dollars donated to BLMGN. And that's proven to be actually way lower. It's actually turned out to be like about $1 billion, which has certainly increased during this time of pandemic and rebellion. To the best of our knowledge, most chapters receive little or no financial support from BLMGN since the launch in 2013. It was only in the last few months that selected chapters have appeared to have been invited to apply for a $500,000 grant created with resources generated because of the organizing labor of chapters. This is not the equity and financial accountability that we deserve. Now, to take a quick break, I talked about the $500,000 grant at the top of the pandemic, and I explained it. And I said, this is a pittance of the money that they've gotten, and they only did it due to an Ask Me Anything that happened over at Reddit with Kaylee Scales, one of their executives. And the Ask Me Anything, it should have actually, instead of being called AMA, it should have been called AMA BAM. Ask Me Anything but about money, because that is the one thing she did not answer. So it was not really Ask Me Anything. It was an Ask Me About Anything but money. Nick, thanks for a donation. Much appreciated. You know something? If anybody's interested in doing this for me, make 5-minute clips of the show to promote, it would be really appreciated, because I don't really want to rewatch myself and pick the 5-minute clip, because I'm always making new content. So yeah, I mean, if any of y'all want to do a 5-minute clip and send it to champagnesharks@gmail.com, I'll start putting them up here because cows and Nene Fuller, they have like fans who do that, and it's pretty good. People who just break up the clips. So yeah, that's something that if you feel like helping us do that, talk to us. We'll definitely love it. But yeah, so there's some estimates that go up to 10 billion. That's how these people don't even know how much they're making. When they did some audits, they found it might be like 10 billion. And I said that $500,000 thing is just like a hush money payment, or just like something that they're just giving out because too many people are starting to ask. That Ask Me Anything kind of scared them, and they announced that 500,000, but that is nothing. It's just something to shut them up. And a lot of people were kind of pushing back on me about that, but everything I'm saying is being confirmed by the chapters themselves. So Champagne Psychics, we called this long ago, from the time George Floyd died, that that no one's talking about the money they got. We put all the context clues to figure out they got a lot of money. Everything we said that was going to happen happened, and down to the open mutiny. We predicted this open mutiny. We remain committed to collectively building in the organization of BLM chapters that is democratic, accountable, and functions in a way that is aligned with our ideological values and commitment to liberation. We will move forward with transparency and expound on our collective efforts to, you get the point. But some Black Lives Matter chapters have already left. Now, what's interesting about this, look at these signatories. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, how many Black Lives Matter chapters do you think exist? And they're writing more chapters to connect. But how many Black Lives Matter chapters do you think even exist? Because I believe, from what I understand, they have 40 chapters. So actually, no, I think they extended to 30 chapters in by 2016. I believe they're up to about 40. That is 1/4. If anyone can give me the final number of chapters in America, but that's 1/4 of your that's 1/4 of your chapters signing to this. This is not an insignificant amount, and they invited more. Now, what's interesting about this? They did this at pretty much right after Biden said this. It's an open letter. The day, and we're going to go back to this, right? So check this out. We're going back to what Jamel put up. What Jamel put up was this, and this is what makes it extra insulting. So Jamel puts up, and if anyone could tell me the chapter count, I'm pretty sure it's about 40, but Jamel puts up this, and this is true. They have yet to receive a response, but they haven't even responded to the subnational BLM chapters. So the whole time that this was out there, BLM is just begging Biden for meetings, and they're upset. The hypocrisy is they're upset at Biden for not taking care and not responding to them. But meanwhile, first of all, Biden doesn't owe them anything. He didn't work for them. They weren't official surrogates. He didn't hire them. They were just doing it because everything else they bet on fell through. And because they're craving and want power so bad, they just appointed themselves unofficial Biden surrogates and shilled on spec. And now, so like Biden doesn't even owe them anything. They're indignant with him. But the whole time while they're doing this countdown, and it's talking about it's now been 32 days, they're saying it has now been 32 days and we haven't yet to receive a response. This is unacceptable. Meanwhile, your own fucking chapters you're not responding to, and you're ignoring them while you're begging for Biden. I don't think they've ever even acknowledged that letter that 1/4 of their people 1/4 of their chapters are in open rebellion, and they're talking about Biden. That is sick. Yeah, so to me, they don't really care about anything, but so be it. Let's go some more. We're gonna dig even deeper. It gets better. This article, this is one of the few places where I've seen this covered, because most of the media is their friend in the tank for them, and then a lot of times in legacy media, they hire the resident Shea Butter, the resident Wakandan, to cover this stuff, and the resident Wakandan will always give it a puff piece treatment. So, but Politico tends to not really do that. I know Politico and The Hill tend to do some of the most honest reporting on this stuff, because I don't think they're really tied into that that network of patronage, really. But Black Lives Matter power grab sets off internal revolt at issues where the grassroots energy can translate into influence inside the Beltway, and at what cost. And Patrice Cullor is a person I sent the text before, is that she's tired of being thought of as the Black Lives Matter girl. I think that was her that said that. It was either her or Opal. The Black Lives Matter movement is buckling under the strain of its own success, with tensions rising between the local chapters and national leaders over the group's money, goals, direction. But what's funny is this is December 10th. That's the day before they were complaining about the 32 days of being ignored. This story is going on. They're still ignoring it. From the beginning, Black Lives Matter was a grassroots effort born in the streets with no central hierarchy. The idea to keep power concentrated in the hands of the people, of its members, the people. That's changing. After a summer of protests that made Black Lives Matter a household name, those atop the movement are making a series of moves to alter its power structure, organizing a political action committee, forming corporate partnerships, adding a third organizing arm, and demanding an audience for President-elect Joe Biden. They got his flunkies. The moves have triggered mutiny in the ranks. 10 local chapters are severing ties with the Black Lives Matter global network. They lost a fourth of their chapters, as the national leadership is known. Now, let me ask you in the chat, how many people knew they lost a fourth of the chapters? How many of y'all knew they lost a fourth of the chapters? And how many of y'all just finding that out now from us? We're not even journalists, but anyway, I'm just curious. I just want to know how many people know that. I want to know if this is common knowledge, because I'm deep in the weeds on this stuff. So sometimes I don't know if what I'm finding out is, because I find things that surprise the hell out of me, and I'm just thinking, am I reading the wrong news? But I have all types of Google alerts and deep dives, and I'm always searching for this stuff. And it's amazing how in the tank for Black Lives Matter the media is. So that's a move that to some signal a rebuke of its leaderful structure, which gave every member an equal say. That's a crazy buzzword. We're a leaderful, leaderless structure. They had this thing. We're leaderful, leaderless. Like, you're just saying anything. Like what is? That's just more of that jargon speak, social activism stuff that just doesn't mean anything. So now you really are. So they were saying we're not leaderless, but we're leaderful, as in there's no leaders, but everyone's a leader, so we're leaderful. And they just But the actions of Black Lives Matter have always been opaque, with thousands of members and dozens of affiliates. 2 of its 3 co-founders are no longer affiliated with the movement, even as they continue to represent Black Lives Matter on TV. I believe that's Opal Tometi and Alicia Garza. But they still refer to it when it helps them. Opal Tometi is the most divorced from it. I don't know what she's doing. Patricia Garza pops in and out when it's convenient, when the name helps her. And Alicia Garza, I don't know when she came back. At one point, all 3 of them seemed gone. And then I think Alicia Garza has come back in the fold unconditionally. Local Black Lives Matter activists say national leaders cut them off from funding and decision making, leaving them broke and taking the movement in a direction which they fundamentally agree, which is all that neoliberal corporatism. Because one thing people don't know, a lot of local Black Lives Matter chapter are actually about it. When I talk about how bad they are, I'm talking about the national one. But a lot of local ones are rioters and true believers, and they're getting very pissed at this. And some of them have left and rebranded and changed their name. Cincinnati was the first one that I know of, and they were saying the same things that we were saying. And as the Black Lives Matter grows in influence with millions of donations and celebrity endorsements, local organizers argue they're the ones in the streets pushing for change and not getting their due. Yeah, so with Colores at the helm, Black Lives Matter this year positioned itself as a new leader in activism politics at the forefront of national reckoning. After forming the PAC, which helped fund its ad campaigns to mobilize Black voters, it formalized its third arm, Black Lives Matter Grassroots. And all this stuff, I think, is just making more arms to enable the shell game of hiding the money. So most of this is in the statement that I read, but it says members have brought this up as early as 2016, and frustrated chapters plan to go public with their grievances months ago. The 2016 thing, I think, is the Cincinnati one. But they were encouraged to wait and discuss the issues with Colors privately. Those discussions were not productive, they say. We didn't have an opportunity to agree to discuss nothing, said Yane Ndego, a lead organizer of Black Lives Matter Philadelphia. So then we asked questions and we are told no answers. Colores declined comment, but representatives of BLM Global Network disputed the BLM 10's complaints in an emailed statement, arguing most of the core-running chapters are not formally affiliated, and that it's just a bid for credibility and money. And because of its funding structure, the network is limited how much it can give local chapters. And Alicia Garza and Opal Tometi are the ones who are said to no longer be affiliated, but I've seen Alicia Garza taking the Black Lives Matter hat on and off when necessary. This is funny. She talks about, I'm not begging Biden. Yeah, you have been begging Biden. Like, what are you talking about? So anything new in here that we didn't already discuss? Oh, so this is interesting. The local chapters, this is how different the local chapters are. There's also a disconnect around the scope and focus of BLM's organizing. While chapters focus on police accountability and funding, they were unaware that leaders of the global network had shifted their efforts. So on the ground, they're still worried about police accountability and funding and the George Floyd stuff. Meanwhile, the national leaders are on something new and they didn't even realize. And this is what one of the organizers said. She goes, I'm not begging Biden or Harris for any type of sit down or meetings, said Chanel Hem, an organizer of Black Lives Matter Louisville. I'm trying to get my mayor out of his seat because he keeps doing the same shit he's been doing. And yeah, so that gap, these people are craving for power for themselves while the people on the ground are still fighting the fight. So that's a problem. That's a big problem. Yeah, crazy stuff. 1:30 and we're still going. We got 62 people in here, so let's just push on. Are you guys still in there? You guys holding up okay? We're about halfway there. We're almost done. So that's the infighting that's been going on there. Now, this is where it gets pretty interesting. Check this out. Black Lives Matter still matter. 6 months after mass protests begin, what is the future of BLM? Reimagining Black Lives Matter. December 10th, same day as the political article. Right? They mentioned that same Yane Ndego, the one that was complaining about trying to get her mayor out of his seats. And he talked about all the different problems that they have. And she goes, Does any of the new changes happening with Joe Biden concluding that more African Americans must be seen in prominent jobs and Kamala Harris being proven as running mate and all these things, does this amount to a new wave for the civil rights movement? BLM looked bereft before the summer because they were at an all-time low before the George Floyd thing reinvigorated them. Several activists say the national part of the movement has long lost its way. Miss Ndego, who is critical of national leaders, says it has become a shambles. Local chapters were passionate but focused mostly on holding rallies in response to violent incidents by police. BLM boasted of its grassroots organizing and decentralized leaderless structure, but critics say that proved messy, bureaucratic, slow-moving, and ineffective. Now, they claim that caused the need for, a leader to be put in and accountability to be had. But this is where it gets crazy. Some of that has changed. Start with the great fire hose of money pointed at BLM groups and sympathizers. The example of Nico Georgiadis of Unicorn Riot, a nonprofit left-leaning media firm that posted early footage of protests in Minneapolis, is instructive. Thanks to online donations, within a couple of months, his almost broke outfit went from $8,000 in the bank to nearly $650,000. To give you an idea how much money they're making. And how many of y'all even heard of Unicorn Riot? So imagine how much money Black Lives Matter, this is the first name people know in this space, must have gotten. That's enough to keep operating for another 5 years, he said joyfully. Ms. McKnight saw donations flood in from people in America, Europe, Japan, and Brazil. Within a month of the protest, BLM's national network had to scramble to offer a first round of $6.5 million in grants to city chapters, gay rights groups, and others. That's interesting that they were giving grants to gay rights groups and city chapters. But this is just a start. Vastly larger sums and promises followed as employee and corporate donors, as well as rich individuals, joined the gift giving. Donations to BLM related causes since May were $10.6 billion. That's billion with a B. So even in the chapter statements, they had no idea how much money. You saw the chapter statement I read, they thought it was in the millions. 10.6 billion. B. 10.6 billion dollars. Exact sums received will be known when the central body overseeing BLM spending publishes its finances. Confusingly, it relies on another entity. That confusion is deliberate. A quote-unquote fiscal sponsor, the Tides Foundation, to oversee its books. A leading figure talks of incredible financial growth and capacity and a huge surge of numbers of folks who want to throw down with us, meaning long-term partners. So 10.6 billion, and there's a $500,000 grant to local chapters happening, and they're mad because they think it's 500,000 out of tens or hundreds of millions. They have no idea at the time was even 10 billions. So yeah, the Economist has a 10 billion figure, and 1/4 of them have dropped out. Now, this is crazy because you're trying to keep track of where they are. I never heard of this Tides Foundation. The last I heard, 1,000 Currents was their fiscal sponsor. Yeah, Wokestream and Unicorn Riot made a killing. There's a lot of money in this space, but no one made a killing the way. So here's what happened. This is what keeps a moving target and makes it hard to get them. Tide Center takes control of Black Lives Matter Global Network. New public documents reveal that this is July 28th, Black Lives Global Network Foundation, the national overseer of 17 chapters of the most prominent organizations, has become a project of the Tide Center. This puts Black Lives Global Network squarely in the middle of a massive political network with total revenues that exceeded $636 million in 2018 alone. According to documents filed with California Justice Department on July 10th, 1,000 Currents transferred control of BLM Global Network Foundation and all its assets to Tide Center. So 1,000 Currents was the first place. Now it's Tide Center, and they keep they keep changing structure, organizations, adding layers of bureaucracy, and moving this around from different fiscal sponsors, and never going nonprofit. They're not a nonprofit. They're actually a Delaware corporation, which is another reason that allows them to not be transparent. And then they use these fiscal sponsors to handle the nonprofit donation. That's why they need a fiscal sponsor, because they're not actually a nonprofit. So donations to BLM Global Network end up in Thousand Currents coffers, which administers the group's finances internally. As the Thousand Currents project, the group does not file regular Form 990 reports with the IRS, and it does not disclose comprehensive financial data in the same way a tax-exempt nonprofit does. So by keeping it with this structure, they're allowed to not have the transparency of a real nonprofit. This is all for the sake of lack of transparency. It's crazy. While in many cases donors cannot be identified, 6 and 7-figure grant totals of Thousand Currents earmarked for BLM Global Network Foundation have been traced to a number of liberal foundations, including Novo Foundation, W.K. Kellogg Foundation, and Borealis Philanthropy. Funding of Black Lives Matter organizations. This is the map. So check this out, how crazy this thing gets, trying to make sense out of this thing. This is at capitalresearch.org. You can find all this stuff, but the donors are just, this is a roadmap of it. This is how you got to try to find organizational supporters, come down, then individual supporters, both of them combined to form donors, receives donations. Some of the donations go to Act Blue charities, which, disperses donations. Some go to a fundraiser. Then that goes to a fiscal sponsor, while the ones that go to Act Blue go to Alliance for Global Justice and Thousand Currents. Goes through another fiscal sponsor, goes through all these other chapters, and there's different partners. Then Movement for Black Lives Matter gets some of the money. Movement for Black Lives is partners with Black Lives Global Network Foundation. We talked about Movement for Black Lives before, and all the weird things they have going there. They're behind the singing, dancing voters over at the election thing with Nalini Stamp, and she's part of like 4 different. They just create and drop out organizations. This is the most incredible shell game that you can imagine. I mean, the mafia is easier to track the organization of than that. You just got 5 families and you're done. And it all becomes part of the Black Lives Matter movement. That's where it all comes down to at the very bottom. It's pretty insane stuff. But you see the level of it's basically what it is. This is like they're the original LLC Twitter. But yeah, they're not even LLC Twitter, INC Twitter. They're a straight up corporation. They're not LLC. It's, you can see their certificate of incorporation over in the Delaware, right? And yeah, so yeah, this is money laundering. This is Better Call Saul. Yeah. You need to set up a complex financial machine. Think of money as fluid, makes the whole thing go. Yeah, so not literally LLC, literally INC. Like they are beyond LLC Twitter, and we're gonna go into this one. We're almost done. Let's all hang in there. Oof. Check this out. What is Thousand Currents, the charity that doles out the million in Black Lives Matter generation donations? So Thousand Currents is still in the mix, even though this new Tides thing is so Black Lives Matter Global Network. First off, it's not a nonprofit organization, so that's already wrong. There's a mistake in the article, but yeah, Thousand Currents just has a fiscal sponsor, and yeah, you cannot figure out where the money goes because of how it's set up, because they don't have their own nonprofit thing. So anyway, Thousand Currents delivered a statement. The Thousand Currents statement was as follows. They gave this statement, announced that they're adding Black Lives Matter to the mix. So, Thousand Currents is pleased to share that Black Lives Matter has formalized its relationship with Tides, and we're all going to work together. We were the sponsor for 2016 and 2020. Then we made a strategic decision to sunset fiscal sponsorship to focus on core grant making to whatever. Thousand Currents is exhilarated by Black Lives Global Network's growth. I'm really curious what happened when they had to pass those records over to Tides. I'm sure Tides looked like a wolf in the cartoon, the eyes bug out, but there's dollar signs in it. Like, I couldn't imagine having those financial papers turned over and just seeing all that money. Yeah, so up until the end, before they got that BS meeting where all they got was a phone number of Wally Adeyemo, they were doing that, complaining about it's now been 32 days. So they did this tweet. I read it before, but this is bigger here. It's been 32 days. We have yet to receive a response. And the date of it, of course, is December 9th. That's a day before all those stories came out talking about how they're ignoring their own chapters, right? I pulled up that to get the date of when it happened so you can see the timing. So there's total hypocrisy about that. But now here's where we're going to get even crazier. These are the last two links. And to me, this is like really cringe. They even went on Instagram and did this graphic to beg. And at this point, Biden and Harris met with everybody under the sun. They were sharing all the pieces of the pie. These people were not and they've done everything from open letters. They did a change.org petition. Like, they clearly had no contacts or ins to the organization. They couldn't actually contact anybody. All they could do was bitch on social media and do change.org petitions and try to get people to at Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. That's how out of the loop they were. They had no one on the inside. They cultivated no connections. They put everything into Elizabeth Warren. So they put up this Instagram graphic. It has been 32 days since we requested a meeting with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We heard no response. And so they're putting this on Twitter, on Instagram. They probably put it on Facebook too. Like, they're just hitting up social media scattershot 32 days out, still, like, begging to be invited. Meanwhile, the crazy thing was that while this was going on, this is the same time that they were creating the outreach thing for white conservatives. That Cedric Richmond thing. The day after that, Cedric Richmond announced the outreach for. Actually, no, a couple of days before that, December 7th was when Richmond announced the outreach office to reach for white conservatives. So even white conservatives are put before them. They finally got a BS meeting later on, and that BS meeting was the one that was Wally Adeyemo, and that's when they finally got the phone number of somebody in the organization. He gave everyone his cell number. I'm sure when they call it, it'll be like, new phone, who this? Now, was it worth the extra half hour? Was it good? Did you guys learn a lot? Now, this is a good question. Is this an open society thing from Soros? We're going to get to that. That's going to be the next lift. You can't expose the BLM grip because it will expose a lot of make work nonprofits. Yep. And again, if you're enjoying this, on the bottom, that's where you can Venmo or Cash App, Champagne Sharks. You can hit us on PayPal, champagnesharks@gmail.com, and you can also hit us with the super chat. We put in a lot of work on these streams. We don't just jerk off when we're not on here. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I'm sure you learn a lot more than you've been learning from the news about any of this stuff. And we're gonna save the big one for the end. This is it. And this story y'all should check out. And it was criminally underreported, and it's thorough. It's a compilation of everything. I would not be surprised if this guy saw my threads, because he put together a lot of threads I put together in my stuff, and he followed the breadcrumbs. I was hoping if I just made enough threads that linked it all together. So I made a super long thread that had a bunch of stuff, and this guy seems to have picked up the breadcrumbs and took it further. I don't know if he read my thread, but I think he did. Tablet Magazine. I was thinking about trying to get this guy on. I haven't reached out yet. Is Warren Buffett the wallet behind but not, let's talk about George Soros here, but is Warren Buffett the wallet behind Black Lives Matter? This is too long to read in one shot. Now, I don't know if Tablet is a conservative organization or anything, but one of the problems with this kind of reporting, and a lot of times to get this information, and this is what I have to do a lot, because these liberal mainstream magazines are so in the tank for these people, sometimes you have to go to off the beaten path places, because Washington Post, they have too many friends in there. They have too many shea butters and Wakandans working in New York Times and Washington Post. They were not going to touch this stuff, and they don't want to look racist. And, you know, a lot of these people double as columnists and writers there. It's way too much boosterism and cronyism. So sometimes you have to go to places like this, but it's very thorough, and you can fact check everything. Is by a guy called Sean Cooper, and he just goes in and talks about this. Still has some of the more conservative estimates, but even this conservative estimate of 33 million that flowed in his coffers since George Floyd at the time of this, they got this by counting the large corporations that publicly made donations for. So just from counting the large corporations that tweeted into their own horns, like Square, Ubisoft, Google, Spanx, Tom Shoes, Lululemon, Nike, and Anastasia Beauty, they all made 6 and 7 figure organization pledges that added up to 33 million. They got this from just, eyeballing. But even with that lowest figure, 500,000 is a pittance for a handful of chapters, and only because you got put on blast, and people were starting to whisper after your Reddit AMA BAM, ask me anything but about money. So this thing goes on and talks about, there is, however, another version of events in which the heartfelt dedication to racial justice is only the forward-facing side of the movement. Behind the street-level activism and emotional outpouring is a calculated machinery built by establishment money and power that has seized on racial politics, in which some of the biggest capitalists in the world are financially backing a group of self-described trained Marxists, a label that colors enthusiastically applies to herself and group other fellows. And it maps out a lot of different organizations, and this thing goes on and on. It's a very, very long map, and I just can't even go into it here. But it also goes into how this organization IDEX, that has a lot of shady things, underwent a transformation and got connections with 1,000 currents. This thing, for the decade prior, according to a financial disclosure, donor revenue to IDEX, this place IDEX is what changed its name to 1,000 Currents in 2016. And they got a bunch of funding. The biggest donor was Peter Buffett, son of billionaire investor Warren Buffett, and Peter's wife, Jennifer. They did not respond, Thousand Currents, to requests to address the relationship between the nonprofit administration and the business interests of their donors, but a worldly observer might notice synergies between IDEX's entrenched footprint across Latin America and Warren Buffett's interest in Liberty Latin America. And this thing goes on and on. But you see all the corporate connections that they're making earlier in this article, the same ones that Indigo was talking about in the previous articles that they don't like, along with their constant push to get ingratiated to power, in this case particularly Biden and Harris and the administration. And that's what's causing the rift. But this thing goes from 2013 to now, and it also tracks places where Alicia Garza used to work. So Novo is one of the places that is connected. Novo is a pretty interesting place. But what happened with Novo is Novo previously donated $750,000 to the National Domestic Workers Alliance, where in October of 2013, Garza was hired as a special projects director. So she got a connection with Novo and had received donations from them in October 2013. Novo, with Peter and Jennifer Buffett behind it, deepened its relationships to new racial justice by $300,000 in 2014 to IDEX, the group that would become BLM's financial sponsor, plus another $750,000 to NDWA, the National Domestic Workers Alliance, where Garza worked. Garza did not respond to Tablet's response for comments. So this is before she was even working for Black Lives Matter. She had been cultivating all these relationships with people who eventually went to this thing. This is a very complex web, and it just keeps going on and on. Let's talk unrestricted funding and different organizations, and it goes into some crazy stuff. And it also goes into how so this company that was being the fiscal sponsor of Black Lives Matter is not just some random company they picked off a list. These people had in a relationship with them already. You see? These people had a relationship with them already. It wasn't like, hey, we just pick, hey, this is the guy that everyone uses, Thousand Currents, and then that was it. They had a pre-existing thing, and this thing keeps going through all the different relationships that they had. So they use Novo, IDEX, IDEX, which becomes Thousand Currents. Novo keeps donating to Thousand Currents. They donated 3.08 million here. Then Novo donated another 4.9 million to NDWA, which is where Garza worked, and they give 300,000 grants to the Black Alliance for Just Immigration. The Black Alliance for Just Immigration, another organization never heard of, was then helmed by BLM co-founder Opal Tometi. Tometi did not respond to Tablet's request for his article. So these Black Lives Matter people have been heading a whole bunch of different organizations where they were getting money from Thousand Currents and the Warren Buffett indirectly backed Novo for a while before they got together and co-founded Black Lives Matter. And it just goes on, and they even have like tax forms and different things. But let me jump to the end. They've created these fellowships. They've done, the numbers are staggering. I'm just scrolling through it so you can see it all. But it is interesting to wonder whether Novo's involvement with Thousand Currents and Black Lives Matter is intended to have a similar result of all these other machinations, which is namely to channel the specificity of Black Lives Matter movement into a larger civic universalism that grows increasingly distant from the movement's initial concerns in favor of supporting a broad, neutralized political platform that may help the one party win elections and appease its own powerful interest groups, being the Democratic Party, and focus less on the grassroots problems faced by Black families trapped in declining and physically dangerous neighborhoods in cities like Minneapolis, Washington, or Baltimore. And that's basically what they're doing. They're basically segue to a vague electoralism and a corporatism, and that's why they're losing all the local chapters. All they care about is just there's a giant VOTEP organization now. Yeah, so nice salaries, consultant jobs, grants. There's a big web of stuff. And why does Tablet have to do all this stuff? Why do I have to like even compile the leads? I mean, Tablets went way further than I did, but I think a lot of this I have in a giant thread that I've been putting together for like months. And so it talks. So check this out. This talks about. This is important. Now, this part is very important because this kind of talks about why the change happened. The infusion of 33 million in donations into BLM has recently led to a new scrutiny of the group's financial agreements. And honestly, now that number swelled to 10 billion. So you can, and they probably knew that was coming. They knew as bad as the 33 million that people can see was, they knew it was actually much, much more. So it led to a new scrutiny of the group's financial arrangements. Several inquiries were made by predominantly conservative media organizations into why Susan Rosenberg, a convicted domestic terrorist, held a senior position of the board of Thousand Currents in charge of the movement's money. So a lot of conservative media was putting the heat on them. Not saying I rock with conservatives, but unfortunately, they're only people who would even question Black Lives Matter. So unfortunately, sometimes the enemy of your enemy becomes, if not your friend, a useful whatever. In a statement released in early July, Thousand Currents clarified why they had scraped their website of information about the board's identity, as well as previously posted documents on organizations' finances. They started scrapping the website. And remember, Thousand Currents actually used to be something else. And they had ties with Warren Buffett and also ties with donating and receiving money for different funds and organizations all the Black Lives Matter people were already part of before they formed Black Lives Matter. Keep all this in context. Pointing at attacks aimed at discrediting the Black-led multiracial mass movements of millions of people around the world who are speaking out against state-sanctioned violence, anti-Blackness, racism, and white supremacy, their words. The Thousand Currents statement said the removal of information from the web was part of an effort to, quote, protect our team and shield the privacy and safety of our staff, donors, and partners. Yeah, I bet. So a few days later, on July 10th, according to documents filed with California Attorney General, the Thousand Currents board voted unanimously to transfer the fiscal sponsorship of the BLM to another California-based nonprofit known as the Tide Center, which exists along with the Tides Foundation under the control of the Tides Network, an umbrella organization managing more than $591 million in revenue. In their statement to the Attorney General, Thousand Currents wrote that the transfer was, quote, in the best interest of all parties, end quote, citing, quote, BLM's growth and their need for greater support. This is, as you can tell, a way to kind of distance themselves from this and kind of keep people from doing the digging that Tablet was starting to do. So that's why I read those previous statements, so you can see the spin that they're putting on it. You can see the spin that they're putting on it to hide it. But this is what actually was the reason for doing it. The tablet gives you the real reason. They give you a nice puff reason, like, you know, we're celebrating, we're done, but we're giving it to them, we're passing the baton, we loved it, thanks guys, but we want to move on to different things. And the things that they're moving on to are the same things they've always been into, like fucking around in Latin America and doing crazy stuff there. But the Black Lives Matter thing got a little too hot for them, and they didn't want to the right connections to be made. The transfer of BLM's fiscal sponsorship from Thousand Currents to the Tide Network would appear to end the relationship between Novo and the Black Lives Matter movement. Novo is the organization run by Warren Buffett's son and his wife that they use alongside IDEX, aka Thousand Currents, to do all that funny business and donations. However, according to public financial documents, Novo has continued its relationship with BLM just through a different shell organization. Indeed, Novo is now even more deeply involved with BLM now that BLM is a part of the Tide Network. In 2018 alone, Novo dispersed more than 100 separate donations, totaling at least 121 million to Tides. The relationship between Novo and Tides is not strictly financial either. According to their own public disclosure, the Tides network provides executive, administrative, and consultant services to Novo Foundation in much the same fashion that IDEX served as the back office for Black Lives Matter. So what basically happened? One fiscal sponsor, which was Thousand Currents, which used to be IDEX and had a long relationship with all this fuckery with Novo, were chosen to be the fiscal sponsor of Black Lives Matter. Things got pretty hot. They transferred over to the Tides Foundation, gave a fake puff story about why they did over. But it turns out the same fucking people are backing and have an even deeper relationship with Novo. Just like the money is a shell game, the connections are a shell game. This sounds crazy, right? I mean, sometimes I think I'm gaslighting myself. Is my tinfoil kufi on too tight? And the thing about this is you can research it. It sounds kooky, but I fact checked a lot of the stuff in this article and it's all checkable. It's all checkable. And this is the key thing. If all these organizations and layers of administration seem a bit confusing and opaque, that is the point. Shuttling Black Lives Matter over to the Tides network does more than shield Thousand Currents from intense inquiry. It allows BLM to join a massive repository of projects that can be administered behind extra layers of protection in the form of donor-advised funds, which allows donors to anonymously fund projects while still reaping tax benefits, and multiple organization shells, which include the Tides Network, Tide Center, Tides Foundation, and a slew of other incorporated nonprofit shell organizations, which are housed within a single institutional silo. There they are overseen by a small band of executives who operate with virtually no outside scrutiny and can coordinate and leverage the political, social, and financial opportunities that these projects create for whatever form of gains their donors decide to prioritize. So these local chapters of like local activists with septum rings just trying to fight the good fight and complaining about their mayors and stuff, they're just basically pawns in a much bigger game that the Black Lives Matter leadership is really playing. They're playing with the big boys. And these activists on the ground, they have no idea how big a game, to me, that these people are playing. I'm running out of red yarn trying to connect the dots. I mean, I don't know. I think I'm crazy sometimes, but I think I'm crazy because I'm the only one talking about it. But when I found all this stuff and I put it in the thread, everyone's like, is this stuff real? And then this story came out a little while later, and I'm convinced that I don't want to give myself too much credit, but I'm convinced something kicked off because I'd never seen all this put together until I individually I should put a link to the first thread I made but these guys took it to the whole next level. And that's a good thing about having real investigative reporters. So, I mean, that's close to the end of the article, but the article is tablet. Is Warren Buffett behind the water behind Black Lives Matter? I might do a pretty big, I think I'm going to do a pretty big, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a big list of links in the notes for this. As it stands up now, there's not a list of links in the notes. But what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to redo this maybe tomorrow, maybe tonight, if I have the energy. And I'll put all the links to everything that we've discussed in this 2-hour jam session into this. And you guys can check all this. Yeah, but it's something. Like, yeah, they do a lot of stuff. Hey, KBO viewing, thank you for the donation, much appreciated. I mean, I'm telling you, this is, I do a lot of work for y'all. You know, I do a lot of work for y'all, but I feel like people need to know. So this is why we need to have 10,000 subscribers in 2021 at the least. We have to have 10,000 subscribers because I want this stuff to be going viral. I want this stuff, and it's out there if you connect the dots. It's out there, but Whew. Yeah. So thanks for everyone who donated. I stayed later than I wanted to, but I've been sitting on that for like a while. And yeah. And I want this stuff to get out there. Someone said, where do you want the videos cut up? You tell me. Cut the videos up to you, because you know what, as the person who does these, and I'm going to tell you something about doing this stuff, when you're too immersed in the craft you're creating, you don't even know what's good and what's bad, or what's catchy, or what's funny, or what's not, because you're too in it. So a lot of times the part of the video that I think is the hottest, or the part of the podcast that I think is dope, uh people will end up liking a whole different part of it, or it'll be will crack up at something I didn't even intend as a joke, So I leave that up to you as the audience. If you want to cut up videos, this is what you do. Go put them up on a Dropbox, or put them up on Google Drive, and send the link over to campaignsharks@gmail.com. Anybody who wants to make clips of the show, make clips, for by all means, and send the videos over, and we'll start uploading the videos, because that's something I really have to do, is have more short videos and more clips. And that site, Victim of White Supremacy, or Victor of White Supremacy, they do that for Neely Fuller. They break down every one of his episodes into smaller what's a good software? I'm not sure. Can anyone in the chat help him with that? What's a good software to capture the video? Yeah, I mean, I'm down for all of that, but I should do that. I should do this too. Make a yeah, that's what I want to do. I'm gonna do, well, that's why I'm gonna start doing video essays about things like Breaking Bad and stuff like that. We're working on like cool video essays and things like that, to kind of go viral and get other people in here. Stuff that goes viral easily. Maybe I'll do reaction videos, like shill sites. I'll do reaction videos to superhero trailers, and then suddenly hit you with the deep shit after you subscribe. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, these are all good ideas. And write us at champagnesharks@gmail.com. Yeah, do all that stuff. Someone said DaVinci Resolve has a free version that people say is good. Yeah, I mean, and if you find out a good download site, I use one, but it's not free, but it's pretty good. It's called TubeGet. It's by a company called GeoSoft. So I use GeoSoft to TubeGet. That's GIHOSOFT. And the second word is TubeGet, TUBEGET. And with that thing, you can download from Twitch, YouTube, all types of sites in a whole bunch of different formats. So that's the one I use. It's not free, but it's really, really good, and you can do a whole bunch of stuff with it. It's called a YouTube downloader for PC and Mac, but it can download and convert YouTube videos to MP4, MKV, MOV, and AVI formats. You can make it to MP3, but it also does 100 plus online video sites like Vimeo, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, etc. It has over 100 online sites. It could rip from any of them, and it has Windows version and a Mac version, and it's the money I've spent. I've had it since I've started podcasting. I use it for a lot of the podcast and stream stuff, but I forget the price because I bought it a while ago. But it was worth it for me because I get heavy use out of it. Someone said Premiere is good. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. This should work. I don't know. That's just the one I use. I pay because like this is what I do, so it's worth it for me paying. But if you're just gonna do a couple here and there, and you got a free one that works, then by all means, do it. You might like the program anyway and just use it for your own things, But Like, for example, I like downloading YouTubes that I really like sometimes, because sometimes people randomly delete good YouTubes. I've lost so many favorite YouTubes from people who just deleted them or removed them. So I like the program anyway, but yeah, if someone wants to suggest a playlist to me, from going through the videos and say, hey, I think these are the best ones about this topic, let me know and help guide me, and I'll make playlists like that. All that is great. But yeah, so thanks everybody. Appreciate all this. I stayed at it a lot longer than I wanted, but I was glad we got to finally get through everything. I was going to break it up into 2 parts, but I'm glad I didn't. And love y'all. Everybody be good. Everybody, if you're not a member of the Patreon yet, join the Patreon. You get 200 bonus episodes, which is a lot. Drop a lot of knowledge on that. So definitely do that. If you want to make clips, then email the clips. If you've been here and you haven't liked, commented, shared, or subscribed yet, by all means, subscribe, do all that stuff. And with that, have a good night. Love y'all. Take care. Be good. Oh, and share this. We want these facts to be known. If you share any of the ones that we've done, share this one. All right? Be good.